Have you ever felt like your love life took a nosedive during a Mercury retrograde, or maybe Venus decided to backtrack just when things were getting good? You're not alone. The cosmos have a way of stirring up drama, because they get fucking bored. Especially when it comes to love and relationships. Yep. Hello, witches and celestial lovebirds. I'm your host, Michael Blackthorn, and welcome to Not Every Witch. Today, we're diving into the murky waters of astrological retrogrades and their impact on relationships. We'll talk about what retrogrades mean, why they're not always the doom and gloom they're made out to be, and how you can work with these shifts rather than fight against them. But let's be clear, we're focusing on the faster moving celestial players. We're talking Mercury and Venus, okay? These are the cosmic influencers behind the immediate chaos in our lives, particularly in the matters of the heart. The slower moving planets and the luminaries, they're fabulous. They have their place. And the slower moving planets, great for like long-term soul deep transformation. But honey, we don't have all day to unpack that. So let's get into it. I think something I want to say up front is correlation is not causation. And I find myself saying this a lot lately, because people want to jump on the bandwagon. Oh my god, something bad happened to me. I stubbed my toe. Is there a retrograde? Is there bad energy in the air? I stubbed my toe. And then you have 500 fucking people in a group of 100,000, right? Saying, yeah. My day has been shit. My life is shit. Shit. People just love to, gather around and just be negative. They do. Even if they say they don't, it's a fact, I feel. But we have to be mindful that, just because something has something is linked to something, or we think it's linked to something, doesn't mean that that's an actual causation. So we have to be very discerning. And I think the beautiful thing about astrology and, archetypal nature, we have people who've been studying this forever and putting out the patterns, and we have things to look for and to be guided by. So I find that fascinating. I just want to reiterate again, correlation is not causation. I guess let's start with the basics. What is a retrograde? Retrograde periods occur when a planet appears to move backward in the sky. It's an optical illusion, but its effects on us are anything but illusory. Retrogrades are a cosmic pause button asking us to reflect, reassess, and recalibrate and revisit the areas of life the planet rules. But also, there's so much to astrology. There's so many layered bits and pieces. For example, with Mercury retrograde, it's not retrograde in the same space all the time, right? So Mercury will retrograde in a specific sign. That sign rules a specific, in your natal promise, in your natal chart, that sign will have a house that it oversees. And so that Mercury retrograde, sure, technology, communication shit, whatever, but it will be filtered through the specific house that is activated in your chart. Does that make sense? And so I think that we need to think about that a little more, because a lot of times we're like, oh my god, watch your communication, don't sign contracts, blah, 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 blah. But people don't realize it's so nuanced. That's my favorite thing lately to say, and it's really bothering me, because I keep saying it, but it's so true. There's so much context that's left out. It's so nuanced that it's not just, a general overall thing. We have to really look at how that relationship is with our own personal charts. We're focusing on the fast movers, okay? Mercury and Venus, just because they're faster moving, which means they're closer to us, they have more of an effect. we have more of a relationship in a way that it's tracked, and we can navigate it, right, a little better. And so, yeah, Mercury and Venus, and there's benefit in looking at all of the planets and the luminaries, and how they move and how they interact with our relationships and yada yada yada. Okay, podcast today, Mercury Venus retrograde. Okay. But yeah, Mercury and Venus, because, these celestial bodies shape our day-to-day lives and emotions. Mercury governs communication and thinking, thought programs, thought patterns, all of that stuff. Venus is all about love and values. When any of these are out of alignment or out of sync, our relationships can feel the impact immediately. And again, I don't have all day to explain all the things, so I encourage you to look up the different significations of the planets and the houses. The Astrology podcast, hello, go enjoy. Oraculos Astrology, Michael A. Bryan. Oh my God, phenomenal. There's so many wonderful peoples in astrology, but definitely go check them out and see what they have to say and offer. I've learned so much. Nightlight, Adam Ellenbus, Nightlight Astrology, so much to offer. Let's get back on track. Retrogrades are often associated with chaos, miscommunications, exes popping back up, and emotional upheavals. But here's the thing, really. Retrogrades aren't out to get us, unless they are. They're cosmic checkpoints, urging us to slow down, reflect, and address unresolved issues. In relationships, that can mean revisiting old wounds, reevaluating commitment, or even rekindling lost connections, or not. But really, a lot of times when someone says retrograde, we're trained to think, oh my God, no, boo-hoo. And sure, that's a part of it. But retrograde energy it makes me think of tarot and reversals. They're not always necessarily a bad thing long term. Sure, they might feel bad at first, but then you realize like, oh, I had to navigate this shit in order to find those gems or those things worth growing. In my life, it's kind of like when you go to therapy, like you talk about and uproot some heavy stuff, and you realize that there's things about you that you're not comfortable with, you don't like, and you're able to have the tools to navigate them. And yes, at first it's like shitty and terrible, and it feels gross and disgusting, emotion. But then you're like, ooh, I have tools now. I can look at that part of me. I can address that part of me. I can understand where that part of me was birthed, right? And that's a really great place to be. Mercury and Venus. Let's just dive in, shall we? We shall. Let's start with what we all really know. Mercury. Okay, Mercury retrograde. Mercury retrograde has a way of making us pause, reflect, and address what we might have been glossing over. In relationships, this can manifest as communication breakdowns, resurfacing conflicts, or even opportunities for deeper understanding. Hello, when exes come back and we're like, oh no, not again. But they try to come back, and I feel like when they try to come back, we are put in a position where we're able to maybe get closure or something else. Yeah, there's always an opportunity, I feel, with Mercury retrograde, or in retrograde in general. The house Mercury retrograde moves through will illuminate which parts of your life and relationships need attention. So let's explore. I'm going to give you a rundown because if I try to explain everything, this podcast is going to be like 5,000 decades, and I don't have time for that. Goodness. But yeah, let's explore how each house uniquely frames these challenges and opportunities with a detailed lens on their significations and planetary joys. First, house. And also you have to take into, it's all layered, it's all nuanced. You have to take into consideration like the sign that Mercury is in as well. So when Mercury is activating your first house, the first house is known as the helm, like your vibe, your body, appearance, identity. The first house is really in your chart. The first house is where specifically you are found. You know, we're not necessarily our entire chart. That first house space, that is you. That is where your spark, where you were born into this world, and that's like your mark on this space, right? And so pretty powerful. So yeah, planetary joy, like Mercury, when Mercury's in your first house, and Mercury retrograde, hello, it loves being in the first house. I have my Mercury in Capricorn in the first house. But when Mercury retrograde activates your first house, it's asking you to reflect on how you are presenting yourself, not just to the world, but also within your relationship. Are you expressing your needs and desires authentically? Or are you putting on a mask to avoid conflict? So some challenges here would be like misaligned self-perception and how your partner sees you. Miscommunications about your intentions. It's kind of like, you know, when someone's like, I just thought you wanted me to be this way. I thought that this is what you liked. And you're like, I just wanted to know you. But like the Mercury retrograde bit here is like not expressing yourself in an authentic way, or maybe in your relationship, we're dealing with things of putting on a show, not showing or exposing our true self. And because, again, this is the podcast for witches, during a Mercury retrograde sort of first house activation, you might work with rosemary and crystal praise to cleanse and realign your energy. Light a yellow candle to promote clarity in how you're perceived, right? Again, you will alter this to what sign is being activated as well. But yeah, you can take that and maybe even inscribe Mercury retrograde on the candle, put the sign it's in, make it yours, make it special. But there's things you can do, to ease and appease Mercury retrograde activation. First house space, you might want to revisit how your identity impacts your dynamic, your relationship dynamic. If you're constantly accommodating, is it time to assert yourself more clearly? If you're constantly compromising and giving to your partner or partners, no judgment, is it time for you to maybe assert yourself a little in the way of communication, like express like what you desire and show what you love and what you want, or how you want to be connected with, right? So that's something to think about. Your second house is considered like the gate of Hades, the exit, money, purchases, income, resources, stuff. The second house, retrograde shine, like Mercury retrograde activating it, shines a spotlight on maybe shared resources, financial habits, and how security or lack thereof affects your relationship. So when we have that sort of Mercury retrograde activating or influencing the second house, maybe it's activating either our relationship with money, or our relationship and the way we think and communicate with our partner or partners about financial things. So financial disagreements might pop up here, or feeling undervalued, misunderstandings about purchases or contributions can be a thing here. And so magically, maybe carry, like, to work with this, carry a green aventurine for prosperity and alignment and shared goals. Perform grounding rituals with maybe some basil and a little bit of patchouli to ease financial tension. So there's something you can do here. If this is activating your second house, work with the idea of this, make it yours, put your own spin on it, and take charge. Take charge. So this would be a good time to reflect on whether financial stress is creating a power imbalance or resentment. How can you rebuild mutual trust and support? And I think a lot of times what makes, a lot of times in relationship, money can be a stressor. Not having enough, not being able to pay bills, having to like overwork and yada, 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 right? All of that can be a stressor on a relationship. So when Mercury retrograde is activating the second house, we might be dealing with that stuff. And it might be important for us to be able to communicate clearly with our partner or partners about what we're going through, about what we're thinking. Third house, the goddess, the house of the goddess. Communication, siblings, writing, the neighborhood, crafting, witchcrafting. Hello. The moon experiences her joy here in the third house of like the moon is in your third house. It's a good vibe, good feeling. This house rules communication, making it a natural hotspot during Mercury retrograde. Misunderstandings can snowball, but this is also a time to fine-tune how you express yourself. Some challenges might be miscommunications, again, dominant Mercury retrograde thing. Miscommunications, unspoken resentment, or siblings drama spilling into your relationship. Again, because the third house is like the house of siblings, the house of neighborhood. This could be fighting with your neighbor or misunderstandings with your neighbor or your siblings or people who even feel like your siblings, right? So this stuff can be activated, and it's good to understand that, because if we're talking about like relationships across the board, when we comprehend we're having a Mercury third house activation retrograde, blah, blah, blah. I could have said that way better, but whatever. But you see what I'm saying? Like if Mercury retrograde is activating that bit, then we comprehend, we can be more aware on how we communicate, how we express ourselves with our neighborhood, with our communities, right? With our siblings. So something to be very aware of. Magical tip here would be to maybe brew a calming tea with chamomile and mint to soothe emotions before a conversation, or just like brew a calming tea that you enjoy before like having to maybe go to a family gathering or having to go talk with a neighbor. But just, that this can be something intense. So give yourself that extra oomph, that extra opportunity to calm and soothe before you put yourself into that position. Maybe burn a blue candle for peaceful dialogue. Again, get that blue candle, put the Mercury glyph on it, put retrograde energy on it, express your desires, put other symbols or sigils that empower what you desire, like having a fluid and flowful and uplifting conversation and dialogue with siblings or neighbors or whatever, and add your magic to it. But really, in our relationships, we want to focus on improving how you articulate your feelings. That's what I was trying to say earlier, is like articulation. So when we're conversing with siblings or neighbors or whatever, the goddess, it's important to be able to articulate our feelings. Maybe start journaling together, or writing letters can be a powerful way to bridge gaps. So maybe writing a letter instead of, even if you don't like send that letter, writing a letter to whoever, sibling or neighbor, to express, to articulate what you're going through, what you feel, what you'd like to say. And then maybe that will inspire you to, when you do have that conversation, you're kind of prepared, right? And maybe it doesn't get too challenged. The fourth house is like the subterranean angle, I believe. Subterranean, home, family, roots, ancestry, our heritage. The fourth house asks you to look at the foundation of your relationship, both the physical home and the emotional security you've built together. We might deal with old family wounds influencing current dynamics, tension over shared living spaces or roles in the home. Magical tip here would be to create maybe a simmer pot with lavender and some sage to bring peace into the home, or whatever. Again, replace lavender or sage if you want. Use what in your tradition or what in your household that you have to calm and to bring peace and all of that. So place a piece of black tourmaline near your entryway for protection as well as transformation. Program your doormat, like when people walk in and they step on that, it transforms and transmutes the energy, so it leaves the outside chaos outside, and they step in with a fresh perspective. That might be helpful. And relationship bits would be to like maybe reassess your emotional foundations here. Are there unresolved family dynamics that need healing? Is there like, this could be like family trauma or drama, family, like in my family, I wasn't this or that, or we weren't really emotional and you want me to be emotional and I don't know how to do that. I don't know how to provide that for you. I'm willing to try, I'm willing to learn, but it's not something that comes natural to me, right? You see Mercury retrograde activating the fourth house, how that can factor in. All right. So like the fifth house is like the house of good fortune. It can be sex, art, creativity, pleasure. Those are why babies get made. Children. Children. Planetary joy. Venus enjoys the fifth house. This is where Venus really likes to shine and play. And yeah. So the fifth house is the realm of joy. But Mercury retrograde here may reveal where the spark has dimmed or where creative energy needs reinvigoration. So there may be a challenge here in rekindling the romance or addressing creative blockages in how you connect, or even like there's something in regards to sexual connection or pleasure. There's something not there or not feeling good. And Mercury retrograde is like, look, this isn't something you enjoy. This isn't something that feels good. There's something wrong here that needs to be addressed, but you have to be able to address it, right? You have to be able to communicate and express your thoughts or what you feel is the issue here. Otherwise, you can't expect someone else, your partner or partners, to read your mind. Magical tip here would be to maybe work with some rose petals and carnelian to reignite passion and joy in your relationship. Set an intention with maybe a pink candle to facilitate better mental connection in relationship. Reflect on what brings you joy as a couple and as individuals, and how you can rediscover pleasure together. Mercury retrograde asks us to think about these things and to explore them in a way that is not silent, but that it is in a form, whatever form of communication we can participate in. And so the sixth house is the house of bad fortune. The house of bad fortune, lifestyle, workplace, physical pain, illness, and Mars, of course, loves the sixth house. Planetary joy is Mars. And so Mercury retrograde in the sixth house puts a lens on daily routines and how they impact your relationship. Are your schedules aligned, or are you constantly feeling out of sync or out of connection? There's no calibration there because your work schedules are off, and so when you're home or when you're in your sort of like relaxed state, they're working or they're doing the thing, right? And you're never on the same page. That's Mercury retrograde in the sixth house. So this could be also health concerns, overburdened schedules, or neglected self-care impacting your dynamic of your relationship dynamic. And so magical tip here would be to maybe incorporate some rosemary and mint. I'm trying to keep it simple here. Rosemary and mint into your rituals to boost vitality, or use something else other than rosemary and mint that you can do to boost vitality and energy here and connection. Maybe a green candle can help harmonize shared responsibilities. And again, put the glyph, put a sigil, make it yours, dress it with oil, dust it with powder, make it yours. So you want to focus with this, with Mercury in the sixth, Mercury retrograde in the sixth, you want to focus on how your day-to-day habits affect your partnership. Where can you support each other? Okay. I think that's important. And again, obviously the sign that it's in will factor in as well. And give you a little more specifics. The seventh house, the setting place, partnerships, the other, relationships. Seventh house is also like, associated with like clients or that one-on-one experience. There's a lot of different things. But retrograde in this house of relationships brings your one-on-one connections front and center. This is where unresolved conflicts demand attention. There might be old arguments that resurface, power imbalances become glaring. And so this very well could be a place where, he said, she said, or paranoia in regards to what you're doing at work because your partner is elsewhere or they're at home and thinking too much, thinking you're not giving them enough, right? And maybe you're not. Again, these are things that you have to think about and work with and work through. And so, yeah, magical tip might be to burn a pink candle a pink and yellow candle, I would say, for harmony, and use some rose quartz to promote forgiveness as well as understanding as well as connection. I like that. During this retrograde in this house, we might want to start reflecting on what balance means in our relationships. Okay, so reflect on what balance means in your relationship. Are you giving as much as you're receiving? It's important. It's important to feel heard, feel seen, but also to make sure that your partner or partners are heard and seen as well. The 8th house, the idle place. Also the gate of Hades entrance. Trauma, inheritance, partners, money, baggage. Lovely 8th house, right? The 8th house retrograde, with Mercury retrograde activating it, dives deep into the shadows of your relationship. This is the time to address trauma, trust issues, and emotional baggage. And so if we're having like an 8th house activation with Mercury retrograde, it very well could unearth like triggers, and traumas, and all of that. So unresolved resentment or secrets might be creating tension here. You might want to work with some obsidian to release negative energy and red jasper to foster emotional stability and grounding. Perform a cleansing ritual with maybe some palo santo, frankincense and myrrh, rosemary, whatever you use, whatever you use. This would be a time to rebuild and focus on rebuilding trust and transparency. So what emotional debts need clearing here? The 9th house, the place of God. Worldview, higher education, spirituality. Hey girl. Planetary joy, the sun. Hey sun. Retrograde, Mercury retrograde here can spark philosophical or spiritual conflicts, especially if you or your partner, oh my god, I can't talk. You and your partner have different belief systems, like, the Christian and the witch, or the Buddhist and the witch, or the Buddhist and the, I don't know, whatever. But like a lot of times, I see this a lot in relationships. A lot of times one person, especially, I'm a witch, so, and most likely you are too, but like, especially in relationships where one partner is a witch and the other is not, I see it a lot where at first it was okay, and then it becomes for whatever reason, a problem. So this is kind of what we have to be on the lookout when Mercury retrograde might activate our 9th house. We might have misalignment stuff and long-term goals or spiritual paths pop up for us. You might want to burn some frankincense for clarity and carry lapis lazuli for honest communication, or something that expresses honest communication as a stone for you. When this house is activated, we might reassess shared visions for the future. How can you honor both your paths while staying connected? Sometimes we can't. So that's something that has to be addressed as well. 10th house, the midheaven, public image, career, mother has arrived. The Mercury retrograde in this house brings tension between professional life and relationship priorities. Are career ambitions overshadowing your connection? You might have struggles with visibility or conflicting public personas. We may decide to work with Tiger's Eye to balance career and personal life. A green candle can stabilize shared goals. You see a theme here. So when this house is activated, we might discuss how to support each other's aspirations without neglecting the relationship as a whole. 11th house is the house of good spirit, friends, network, aspirations, and the planetary joy. Jupiter loves the 11th house. So hey there, Jupiter. The 11th house, Mercury retrograde might bring up jealousy or miscommunication within your social circle that spills into your relationship. So like maybe, and also I find that this could be where you're spending too much time in your coven or too much time in your circle and not enough time in your relationship. That's something that needs to be understood as well. Friend-related drama or clashing visions for the future are some things that might be challenging here when we are activating this house. Magical tip. Create a sachet with lavender and clear quartz to protect against gossip and bring emotional clarity. I would add alum to that too. So when the 11th house is activated by Mercury retrograde, we ask, like, how do your social lives support, or how do our social lives support or detract from our relationship or connection? How do your social lives support or detract from your connection? And so that's something important to discern or to navigate when the 11th house is being activated. Now, for the 12th house, the house of bad spirit, mental health, hidden enemies, retreat. Saturn loves the 12th house. This can be imprisonment as well as, I said all that stuff I want to say. So, but yeah, I just forgot to add imprisonment. But yeah, this can be imprisonment as well. Mercury retrograde here dives into the hidden parts of your psyche, unearthing fears or anxieties that may affect your relationship. This could be also like mental health. So when Mercury retrograde is activated in the 12th house, we really need to be careful, especially if we navigate different mental health experiences. And so we have to be very, very discerning. Maybe this would be a good time to maybe focus on maybe getting an extra therapy session in or whatever, making sure to be on it with my medication, stuff like that. So emotional withdrawal or feeling disconnected can be challenges here. You might want to work with a black candle for banishing fear and selenite for spiritual cleansing. Meditate to reconnect with your inner self, your relationship with who you are and what you are. Focus on emotional support and understanding. How can you create a safe space for vulnerability? This is so important because the 12th house activation, it's kind of like dealing with who we are in a relationship. So we have to be slightly selfish, but we also have to understand that it's not just about us in a relationship. So who we are, what we're going through is important. We have to take care of that. That is vital, number one. But also that, like, if I don't take care of that, that affects my partner or partners. If I do take care of that, that affects my partner or partners. It's not to place judgment or blame or to make us feel bad. It's just an understanding of when this 12th house activation happens. I need to be at least more aware, extra gentle, more cautious of all of these factors. Mercury retrograde is not your enemy. It's a cosmic nudge to slow down, reflect, realign, recalibrate. You know, those things, the re's. By understanding its effects, though, through the houses, you can navigate its energy with specific intention and transform challenges into opportunities for growth. You see? And obviously, depending on the sign that it is in, that will factor in how it's expressed. So research that for yourself for this upcoming retrograde. Now let's move on to Venus. All right. So Venus retrograde doesn't just nudge. She invites us to deeply reflect on how we embody love, value connection, and experience beauty. It's a period to revisit the emotional, physical, and sensual aspects of our relationships and redefine what truly feels good and aligned. Here's how Venus retrograde interacts with the houses. I don't like saying, I wrote that to express, but I'm saying it now. It's not necessary. This is not definitive, you know, this is not, these are just like perceptions. This is what I've picked up. This is what I've studied. And so there's so much that's left out. There's so much that doesn't get shared. There's so much that is from a different person's perspective that I don't have, that I can't relate to. So I can't share with you. So there's just, keep researching the planets and building relationships, but understand how personal relationship versus like actual data, you know, the difference. Sorry, I'm just, there's so many, when it comes to astrology, I'm so picky on how I try to express it. I don't want people to think I'm talking in like, this is defined, this is the only because I'm still learning. I'm still growing. I've been studying for years and all of that, years and years, really. But, I'm still learning. The first house, and I'm not going to go over all the other stuff like what the first house means because we did that with Mercury, all right? So the first house, when Venus retrograde activates your first house, it asks you to reflect on your physical presence and how you radiate love. Do you feel confident in your skin? Are you presenting yourself authentically or hiding behind a facade? Remember, the first house in our chart is where we show up. And so Venus, the goddess of love and relationships and connection and sensuality and all of that, she's like, bitch, we're digging deep. Like, we're digging deep. What the fuck's going on here? She's like, like, why are you messy? Why are you messy as fuck? Clean it up. Clean it up. So this could be like even doubts about our attractiveness or feeling disconnected from your body. I find like, this very well could be like, I don't feel comfortable or confident in my own skin. And that can be as surface level or as deep as it is for us. So, when she is retrograde, when Venus is retrograde in the first house, I think that deep conversation of how can I feel beautiful? How can I feel that I embody my sensuality, my beauty? Or how can I express who I truly am in a way that is loved by me? So we might practice some self-care rituals that reconnect you to your sensual side. Use maybe some rose petals in a bath or dress yourself with a jasmine infused oil. There's so many different things that you can do. So let me know what some of your self-care rituals might be in alignment with Venus here. How does your sense of self affect the way you show up in relationships? Are you honoring your body and self-expression as a vessel of love? So when Venus retrograde activates the first house, these are things that we consider. These are things we can do. And it's so important to understand it's our relationship with our own body, with our own self, but also that relationship with self, that relationship with who we are on an authentic level. All of that stuff will transfer to how we experience the world outside of us. You see what I'm saying here? And it's so interesting to note that it's an intimate connection that when we really start to pay attention to ourselves and do the work, we can change so many things in a way that is great, uplifting. The second house, when Venus retrogrades in the second house, she pulls focus toward like material and emotional security. Are you investing in what truly brings you joy? Are you clinging to outdated values? The challenge here might be over attachment to possessions or feeling undervalued. I find as well, like when Venus retrograde in the second house, it very well could put the relationship in a position where there is a codependency. There is one person who's like really attached and attached for not the reasons that one would expect. They're attached because of what the partner or partners, what they offer, what they do, what value they add to the relationship. There's not necessarily a love. There's a love for what they get out of it. Does that make sense? And so we have to be very, very aware of, like, is that us or is that, what we're experiencing? Do we feel undervalued? We might create a money altar with green aventurine and basil and cinnamon and all the things like money rice, Focus on aligning spending habits with your heart's desires. So you can see how Venus retrograde is like, it can also be working with our relationship with money and growing our abundance there, because we might not have a healthy one. So that's something to be mindful of. We will want to reflect on whether shared values align in your relationships. Are you placing too much emphasis on material proof of love, or are you neglecting financial boundary? Something that you have to consider. Venus activating the third house, the house of the goddess. When Venus retrogrades in the third house, it shifts attention to how you communicate love and beauty in everyday life. Are your words as kind as your intentions? So this can bring miscommunications leading to emotional distance. We might write a heartfelt note to someone we love or revisit old letters to reignite connection. Use a calming tea to help calm and clear communication. We might be exploring how small, thoughtful gestures can reignite intimacy. How can you make everyday interactions more meaningful? So when Venus retrogrades the third house, it's kind of like, how can I bring this beauty, the love that I have, the appreciation that I have into my everyday life? Am I doing that, or am I taking all of this for granted? It's something that has to be, how can I work with this? Fourth house. In the fourth house, Venus retrograde encourages you to assess the emotional harmony within your home. Are you creating a nurturing environment, or is your space a source of tension? The challenge here might be family disputes or feeling emotionally unsettled. The home space, even the office space, like work, like if you live at home or live at home. Oh my God. See? If you live at work, that could also factor in. But there's something off. And so when Venus is retrograde, activating the fourth house, this might be a time for us to explore what is off and how we can counter correct it. We might burn some rosemary and some cedar to cleanse the energy in the home, create a soothing space with soft textures and calming scents, or, bake something that feels just nice, that feels good, that tastes good too, obviously, but like just when you bake it, it's like just a good memory, for the home. When Venus retrogrades in the fourth, we reflect on the emotional foundations of your relationships, okay? How can you foster a sense of safety as well as belonging? Venus in the fifth house, this is her playground, because remember, her joy is in the fifth house. When she retrogrades here, it's a wake-up call to rediscover what lights you up. Yes! Have you been neglecting your inner artist or stifling your playful side? There might be creative blocks or feeling disconnected from joy, or not even enjoying sex. Like, not enjoying sex. That's just something that comes up. You might want to create a spell jar with sunflowers and carnelian to rekindle passion and inspiration. Maybe dedicate time to a creative project or indulge in a hobby. Something that's going to have fun, that you're going to be inspired by and enjoy. We might reignite romance by focusing on shared pleasures. So communication is key, but let's share. Let's reignite this romance we have. And so ask yourself, what brings you joy as a couple? What brings you joy as a couple? How can you bring playfulness back into your connection? The sixth house, when Venus retrogrades in the sixth house, she prompts you to reassess how you balance work, service, and self-care. Are you pouring too much energy into others and neglecting yourself? The challenge here, burnout or feeling unappreciated for your effort. So it's like there's this challenge of I am doing all the things. I feel ugly. I feel worn down. I'm burned out. I'm not appreciated. So you might want to create a self-love ritual using chamomile and calendula to restore your energy. Set boundaries around how much you give. So important. It just is, even when she's not retrograding your sixth house. How can you balance acts of service with receiving love? Explore the dynamics of reciprocity in your connections. The seventh house, Venus retrograde here, invites deep reflection on how you relate to others. Are your partnerships equitable? Are you sacrificing I sound piratey, oh my god, Fuck. Are you sacrificing too much to keep the peace? Unresolved conflicts or resurfacing insecurities in relationships can very much be activated here. So we might work with a pink and white candle to meditate on balance and harmony in your partnerships. Place rose quartz on your altar to amplify the love aspect of it. Maybe a garnet or two. maybe some black tourmaline. Have fun with it. Make it yours. But yeah, when Venus retrogrades the 7th house, what old patterns need to shift for your partnerships to thrive? How can you invite more balance into your connection? The 8th house, when Venus retrograde, it dives deep into vulnerability, trust, and shared resources. It's a time to address emotional depths and explore transformative intimacy. The challenges here, fears around emotional exposure or lingering resentments. Venus in action. Perform a water ritual with black tourmaline to release emotional baggage. Add a piece of garnet to a spell jar for emotional courage. There you go, see? So when Venus retrogrades the 8th house, we can deal with like how can we deepen trust and intimacy without fear. Use this time to explore emotional depths in a safe, intentional way. Venus retrograde in the 9th house asks you to explore love and values through the lens of your beliefs. Are your relationships aligned with your spiritual journey? I will also say, like, this is like your love beliefs, this is your relationship beliefs, this is your Venusian beliefs, right? So not just like beliefs as in your spirituality, metaphysics or religion, whatever, but like your thought programs, your headspace, your deep rooted beliefs that shape the reality that you partake in. So that's important. There might be feelings of disconnect, feeling disconnected from shared dreams or spiritual paths. There's a disconnect here in belief systems and programs. Again, you can burn frankincense and meditate with lapis to explore lapis, sodalite, selenite, to explore higher truths. Amethyst, use a journal to reflect on what love means in your worldview. What does love mean to you? How can shared spiritual practices or conversations enhance your connection? How can maybe incorporating your partner or partners into what is important to you, into your beliefs, into your studies, into whatever it is, how can that be worked in a way to enhance your connection? 10th house, retrograde here asks you to reflect on how your ambitions impact your relationships. Are you prioritizing external validation over emotional intimacy? Challenges that we might face are over-identification with career success or visibility. Very much in love with the work, in love with the job, and not really enough love to give to our partner or partners. Maybe work with Tiger's Eye to harmonize professional, personal priorities. Light a green candle to balance ambition with emotional grounding. How can you create space for love while pursuing your goals? That's an important thing, is like when this comes up, it's like, okay, I have goals, I have desires, but how can I balance that with my love life? How can I balance that out to make sure that nothing is felt left out? 11th house, Venus retrograde in the 11th house shines a light on friendships and social dynamics. Are you surrounding yourself with people who uplift and inspire you? I also find like Venus retrograde can unearth beliefs and programming that put like friend circles in a space they have to like deal with, work it out. So feeling out of sync with your social circle is a huge thing here. Craft a friendship spell jar with lavender, pink salt, clear quartz, and items that your friends love. Set desires and intentions for harmonious and supportive connections. Reflect on how your community impacts your love life. Are your friendships aligned with your heart's path? Like, this is important because sometimes our friends are not necessarily our friends, and sometimes those friends who are not necessarily our friends have words about our relationships that we allow to get to us, and then it bastardizes our relationship. 12th house, this retrograde asks for deep inner work around love and self-worth. Are you holding on to fears or self-doubt that sabotage your ability to give and receive love? Emotional withdrawal or recurring insecurities come up here. This could also activate like addiction stuff, like things around addiction, because Venus is all about pleasure and all about feeling good. The 12th house can be where we kind of get lost and it's a little scary on one side of it. It's really intense. And so this very well could be dealing and navigating different forms of addiction and addictive behaviors. So maybe meditate with selenite to cleanse self-doubt, and moonstone for emotional healing. Create a vision board for the love you want to manifest in your life, or you want to, be about, or you want to show up for in your life. So with the 12th house here, we ask, how can you nurture yourself to create healthier, more loving connections? Venus retrograde is a cosmic pause button, encouraging us to slow down and reflect on what and who we truly value. By aligning with its lessons, we can emerge with deeper connections, greater self-awareness, and a clearer sense of what love means to us. Let this retrograde guide you to the heart of your magic. All right, my friends, and you already know we're about to head into everyone's favorite segment.
Save me, Rosemary.
Dear Rosemary, I've been feeling stuck lately, like I'm holding back from stepping into my power. I know I have the potential, but fear and self-doubt keep creeping in. How can I use witchcraft to boost my confidence and channel my inner bravery?
Oh, sweetheart, let me start with this. Bravery isn't about never being fucking afraid. It's about doing the damn thing anyways. Confidence isn't gifted. It's built. Brick by brick, spell by spell. Now, I hear you about fear and doubt, but let me ask you this. Are those little voices in your head yours, or are they echoes of people who didn't have the guts to chase their own dreams? Think on that. Now, down to business. Here's a quick spell to light a fire under that lovely witchy ass of yours and get you moving. I like to call this Rosemary's Courage Ritual. Ingredients: 1 red candle for courage and vitality. Chrysocolla, a stone for empowerment and the courage to speak and act your truth. Can be supplemented. Yes, he can be worked out if you don't have any chrysocolla. Maybe use some celestite, some blue calcite, some selenite, something of the nature. Yeah. Bay leaves for success and confidence, because we're not here for halfway fucking results, bitch. Never. Peppermint to invigorate and refresh your energy. Bonus, it's great for clarity too. Honey to sweeten your self-talk and make bravery stick. And a heat-safe fucking dish. Motherfuckers, and I say heat safe. Eat safe. Don't fucking assume I see y'all using pickle fucking jars to burn candles in, doing all these stupid ass shit, learning all these stupid ass things, burning houses down because what? Because you don't do any research yourself and you don't use a fucking heat safe dish. You put a candle that has 5 pounds of fucking burnables on it and think it's gonna be fine. Sorry. Just a little too intense about that. Anyways, a heat-safe dish for burning those bay leaves. Releasing their power. Instructions. Set the scene. Clear your space and center yourself. Place a red candle and chrysocolla or whatever fucking crystal you're gonna use on your altar or workspace. Let them symbolize the courage and strength you're already, about to ignite. Yes. Peppermint honey preparation. Before lighting the candle, sprinkle a small pinch of peppermint around its base. You know, take a dab of honey and touch it to your lips, saying, "Sweet is my power, steady my mind, confidence blooms, courage is mine." Give a good cackle, fucker. Light the candle now. Light the candle now. Light the red candle, focusing on the flame as it begins to grow. Grow? You know, fucking grow. Shit, what am I thinking? I think you know what I'm thinking. How about now? Focus the flame as it begins to glow brighter. Let it represent your courage, growing stronger with every flicker. Write it down. On each bay leaf, write a word or phrase that represents what you need to feel brave about. Maybe it's speaking my truth, or taking the first step, or simply, I am fucking fearless. Burn and release. Light each bay leaf on fire. Light it up, bitch. Light it up. One at a time, and as it burns, say something to the degree of. Fear melts away. I am strength and fire. My courage grows, lifting me higher. Got it? Good. Now put on your dish, your heat-safe dish. Shit. But meditate with the chrysocolla. Hold the stone in your hand and breathe deeply. Visualize yourself as radiant, powerful, and unshakable. Let the energy of the ritual flow through you. Now there you go, darling. A simple, powerful way to shift your mindset and help step into your bravery. But here's the kicker. Magic can light the way, but you still have to walk the fucking path. Take the first step, no matter how small, and let the momentum build. And remember, witches don't stumble into power. We claim it. We embody it. And when in doubt, we fake it till we make it. You've got this. Fear has nothing on you, bitch. Now, go light that fire. Literally. And figuratively. And show the world what you're made of.
All right, witches. Let's put this all into perspective. Retrogrades are not the villains of the cosmos. That'd be fun, though. They're not, though. They're not. They're your invitation to slow down, reflect, and reframe. Mercury retrograde teaches you to pause, choose your words and thoughts carefully, and clean up those communication missteps. Venus retrograde nudges you to redefine what you truly value and to get real about how you give and receive love. Love, yes. Remember, you're not at the mercy of the planets. You're the witch, the weaver of your own destiny. Retrogrades don't control you. They empower you to step into your own magic with clarity and intention. If this episode hit home, whether it's because you're navigating a retrograde mess or planning your next love spell, share it with your fellow witches and celestial lovebirds. Leave a review, follow me on social media, and tell me, my friends, how do you work your magic during retrogrades? I'd love to hear about your stories and rituals. So don't forget to join us on Discord. I have that link somewhere, so find me on Discord. And don't forget to subscribe. Subscribe, so you don't miss next week's episode. All right? It's going to be fun. So until then, keep growing, keep casting, and remember, the stars set the stage, but you are always the main character of your story.